You're watching Rurouni K95's horror movie review on Halloween. Hi Ruronis, this is your pal Rurouni K95 here. So today I decided to do another horror movie review. This time this one is directed by John Carpenter and it's a 1978 horror movie. For today's horror movie review is Halloween. Halloween is a 1978 American slasher film directed and scored by John Carpenter, written and produced with producer Deborah Hill, which stars Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis in her film debut. So, this movie was released on October 25th, 1978. So let's start with our review on Halloween. In 1963, on Halloween night in Haddonfield, Illinois, 60-year-old Michael Myers inexplicably stabs his older sister Judith to death with a kitchen knife in their home, and is incarcerated at Smith's Grove Sanitarium. 15 years later, Michael's psychiatrist Dr. Samuel Loomis and his colleague Marion Chambers arrive at the sanitarium and to escort Michael Myers to court. Michael escapes by stealing their car and returns to Haddonfield, killing a mechanic for his overalls, as well as stealing a white mask. But it's basically the mask he stole is basically Captain Kirk from Star Trek, but it was painted all white on a Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek because William Shatner was on Star Trek. Back to my review on Halloween. And knives from a local hardware store. On Halloween, when high school student Laurie Strode drops off a key at his former home so her father can sell it, Michael stalks her throughout the day, which she notices, but her friends Annie Brackett and Linda Van der Klock dismiss her concerns. Loomis arrives in Haddonfield in search of Michael and finds Judith's tombstone and missing from the local cemetery. He meets with Annie's father, Sheriff Lee Brackett, and they both investigate Michael's house where Loomis conceives Brackett of the danger Michael poses. Brackett patrols the streets while Loomis waits at the house expecting Michael to return. Later that night, Laurie babysits Tommy Doyle while Annie babysits Lindsay Wallace just across the street, unaware that Michael has followed them. When Annie's boyfriend Paul calls her to home and pick him up, she takes Lindsay over to the Doyle house to spend the night with Laurie and Tommy. Before Annie can leave in her car, Michael slits her throat. Soon after, Linda and her boyfriend Bob Sims arrive at the Wallace house after they were making love. Bob goes downstairs to get a beer for Linda. When Michael stabs him, Michael then poses as Bob in a ghost costume and confronts Linda, who teases him to no effect. Annoyed, Linda calls Laurie, but Michael strangles her with a telephone cord just as Laurie picks up. Meanwhile, Loomis discovers the stolen car and begins searching the streets. Suspicious, Laurie goes over to the Wallace house and finds the bodies of Annie, Bob, and Linda, as well as Judith's headstone. She cowers in the hallway where Michael appears and attacks her. Barely escaping, Laurie flees back to the Doyle house, which Michael enters, but she manages to fend him off long enough for Tommy and Lindsay to escape. Loomis sees the two children fleeing the house and goes to investigate, finding Michael choking Laurie upstairs. Loomis shoots Michael Myers 6 times, knocking him off the balcony. When Loomis goes to check, he finds Michael Myers' body missing. Unsurprised, Loomis stares off into the night, while Laurie begins sobbing in terror. So the movie Halloween filming took place in Southern California in May 1978. Before premiering in October where it grossed about $70 million, becoming one of the most profitable independent films, primarily praised for Carpenter's direction, score. Many credit the film as the first in a long line of slasher films inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Some critics have suggested that Halloween may have encouraged sadism and misogyny by audiences identifying with its villain. Others have suggested that the film is a social critique of the immortality of youth and teenagers in the 1970s America, with many of Michael Myers' victims being sexually promiscuous substance abusers, while the lone heroine is depicted as innocent and pure, hence her survival. Nonetheless, Carpenter dismisses such analysis. Halloween spawned a film franchise comprising 11 films, which helped probably construct an extensive backstory for its antagonist, Michael Myers, sometimes narratively diverging entirely from previous installments. A remake was released in 2007, which itself is followed by the sequel in 2009, which are particularly two of those Rob Zombie Halloween movies, which I would not bother to look at, in my opinion. An 11th installment, which serves a direct sequel to the original film that reckons all previous sequels, was released in 2018. Additionally, a novelization, a video game, and a comic book series have been based on the film. In 2006, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. There is a 2018 Halloween movie directed by David Gordon Green, which I haven't reviewed yet, because I know it's made by Miramax Films, that's why. So that is my review on the movie Halloween. So let's start with the cast. Because we all know that the concept is after viewing Carpenter's film Assault on Benedict in 1976 at the Milan Film Festival, independent film producers Irwin Yablans and financier Mostofa Akkad sought out Carpenter to direct a film for them about a psychotic killer that stalked babysitters. In an interview with Fangoria magazine, Yablans stated, "I was thinking what would have made sense in the horror genre, and what I wanted to do was to make a picture that had the same impact as The Exorcist." Carpenter agreed to direct the film contingent on his having full creative control and was paid $10,100 for his work, which included writing, directing, and scoring the film, and he and his then-girlfriend, Deborah Hill, began drafting the story original titled The Babysitter Murders. Yablans subsequently suggested the movie on Halloween night and named it Halloween instead, which probably that makes more sense because they had to change the working title progress from the name The Babysitter Murders because they wanted to make a horror movie something that'll take place on Halloween night, so they kind of changed the name to the title, which now it's called Halloween. To which Carpenter agreed and developed a story. Carpenter said of the basic concept, Halloween night, it has never been the theme in a film. My idea was to do an old haunted house film. Now, if this was Silent Night, Deadly Night, then I would have been compelled for a holiday horror movie review, which I'll begin reviewing Silent Night, Deadly Night, probably in December, around Christmas time I can review. But it's John Carpenter's Halloween. And if this was Rob Zombie's Halloween, then I would have done a rant on Rob Zombie's Halloween. But it's John Carpenter's Halloween, the one that is in 1978. It took approximately 10 days to write the screenplay. Yablans and Akkad ceded most of the creative control to writers Carpenter and Hill, whom Carpenter wanted as producer, but Yablans did offer several suggestions. According to Fangoria interview with Hill, Yablans wanted the script written like a radio show with boos every 10 minutes, but Hill's reflection and the script took 3 weeks to write, and much of the inspiration behind the plot came from Celtic traditions of Halloween, such as the festival of Samhain, although Samhain was not mentioned, or Samhain is not a mention in the plot of the first film. Hill asserts that the idea was that you couldn't kill evil, and that was how we came about the story. He went back to the old idea of Samhain, that Halloween was the night where all the souls are let out to wreak havoc on the living, and then came up with a story about the most evil kid who ever lived. And when John came up with his fable of a town with a dark secret of someone who once lived there, now there that evil has come back. That's what made Halloween work. Hill had worked as a babysitter during her teenage years. Most of the female characters' dialogue. Carpenter drafted Loomis's speech on the soullessness of Michael Myers. Many script details were drawn from Carpenter's and Hill's own backgrounds in earlier careers. The fictional town of Haddonfield, Illinois, was driven from Haddonfield, New Jersey, where Hill was raised, while several of the street names were taken from Carpenter's hometown of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Laurie Strode was allegedly the name of one of Carpenter's old girlfriends, while Michael Myers was the name of an English producer who had previously entered with Yablans on Assault on Prenedict in various European film festivals. Homage is also paid to Alfred Hitchcock. The two characters' names, Tommy Doyle is named after Lieutenant Detective Thomas J. Doyle, who played by Wendell Corey from Rear Window, 1954, and Dr. Loomis' name was derived from Sam Loomis, played by John Graven from the movie Psycho. The boyfriend of Marion Crane, played by Janet Leigh, who was the real-life mother of Jamie Lee Curtis. Sheriff Lee Brackett shared the name of the Hollywood screenwriter and frequently collaborator of Howard Hawks. In division the backstory for the film's villain, Michael Myers, Carpenter drew on the haunted house folklore that exists in many small American communities. Most small towns have a kind of haunted house story of one kind or another. He stated at least that's what teenagers believe. There's always a house down in the lane that somebody was killed in, or that somebody went crazy in. Carpenter's inspiration for the evil that Michael would embody came from a visit he had taken during college to a psychiatric institution in Kentucky. There he visited with his psychological classmates, where the most serious mentally ill patients were held. Among these patients was an adolescent boy who possessed a blank schizophrenic stare. So that's probably my review on Halloween. So that's going to be my review on John Carpenter's movie Halloween. You guys, thanks for watching. But before we go, here's my quick thoughts about the movie Halloween. So the movie Halloween was directed by John Carpenter. It was released on October 25th, 1978. I guess. Hope subscribe for content. My anime plan link in the description down below. You can share this video on your Twitter and Facebook if you have a Twitter and Facebook account. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking the like button on this video. Please leave it in the comments on any suggestions of horror movies I can review, because I'm doing some more horror movie reviews by leaving in the comments section below, I guess. Please subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel. Click on my notifications bell button. Check out my other previous videos that I upload as well, because I haven't done any movie reviews, especially mostly horror movies, films, and other movie genres in general, but I review mostly anime. Even though this is my horror movie review, because I'm running out of time, that's why, because I had to do my horror movie review, because Halloween was directed by John Carpenter, and it was released on October 25th, 1978. This concludes my horror movie review on Halloween. Thank you for watching my horror movie review. I'm glad you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you soon, and have a great day. This is RuRoniK95 signing off, and thank you for watching my horror movie review on Halloween.